Education webinar series. The goal of these webinars is to give the community resources and ideas in creating and maintaining a successful chess program, whether it be in your schools or the community. My name is Abel Talamantes. I'm the chess program director at the Hamilton K-8 School in Novato, California, and a member of the Chess in Education Committee. And I'd like to recognize the co-chairs of the committee, Renee Bartlett and John Galvin, who are joining us, and US Chess Executive Director Carol Meyer. Today's webinar is large or small. Your school chess program can be successful and celebrate players too. And one of the exciting parts of today's program is that the two presenters, who are also members of the Chess and Education Committee, are also educators. So it will be great to hear their perspective from two different communities. Ursula Byrd is 24 years as a teacher in Detroit Public Schools District, 15 years as a chess coach and supporter, and also Christina Mullinax, who's a math and computer science teacher in Lenoir City Schools in Tennessee. So the way this webinar will work is they'll be giving a presentation for about 30 minutes, 15 minutes each approximately. And during that time, if anyone has any questions they'd like to pose in the chat, please do so. We'll be reviewing those questions. And after that 30 minutes, we'll have 30 minutes of Q&A where we can talk about some of the questions and address the topics. And please, if you do ask a question, it'd be nice to know where you're from, just so that we have an idea of where the questions are coming from. And that'll be the format. So it'll be an hour in total. And first up will be Ursula Byrd, talk about her program in Detroit.
Thank you, Abel. Thank you for that great introduction, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this webinar. As I said, my name is Ursula Byrd, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have done or what we're doing over here in Detroit Public Schools, specifically Bates Academy, where I served as a coach for about 16 years. And so let's get into it. First thing, as you can see here, I'm going to talk about success. How we celebrate the players. I think that's very important for us to be able to celebrate the players after all of their hard work throughout the school year. And so my story, how did it all begin? How did I start doing chess? Why chess? It started with my oldest son, Jeremiah. Jeremiah was playing chess in the fourth grade, and he wanted to join the team, in which I was a teacher there, vocal music. And so he joined the team, or he started going to practice. The coach at that time, the late Harold Steen, he said, "Oh, you're not ready." And so he didn't let them play. And so I said, okay. So a few years went by. School is going, and he's now in the 8th grade. He starts reading books. There's now a new coach because he has Mr. Steen retired. So there's a new coach, Seltman Hayes. And so he welcomed Jonathan in with open arms. So they practiced. They would, do meetings after school. So I went around as a concerned parent to show my support. And I said, "Oh, Mr. Hayes, you have about 100 children in this room. It's too many." I'm exaggerating. It was about 50, but that's a lot. In the home economics room, that's the classroom we're in. And so I said, "Mr. Hayes, I think I want to help you. I want to support you as a parent. Can I do that?" And he was like, "Oh, sure, Miss Byrd." He welcomed that, and we spoke with the principal. And so I started just being like the chess mom, supporting on that role, even though we worked in the building together. Mr. Hayes was like the gym teacher or something like that. And I supported him. And so it started from there. That's how I started doing chess in the school building. And so as a music teacher, I said, is this something that I'm really going to be able to handle? Because chess is chess. I was a checkers girl. I didn't know how to play chess at all. Nothing, it just wasn't even on my mind. So what I did is I said, okay, while we were organizing and I was helping support, I was kind of learning along the way and, being taught from my son, my eldest son. He was the one that was the force behind that, especially at home. And then Mr. Hayes, he said, "You can learn it too, Miss Byrd. It's not that difficult." And I said, well, yes, it is. He said, well, no, you can get that together. So, in the midst of me doing choir and going back and forth with that, I started learning the game and supporting him. And so we organized, and we had sign-in sheets and things like that. Now, chess was already going on prior to myself joining, and Mr. Hayes with Mr. Steen. It was a smaller group. He did more just the competitive side. He didn't do the club scene. And so that leads me to why the players should be celebrated, and us talking about everybody having a move and a purpose. What was my purpose being there? Why was I there? What was I going to do to help garner these scholars and move them on? So I did just that. Whatever Mr. Hayes asked me to do, that's what I did. And then I thought from a teacher's standpoint, how can we make this more orderly, more organized for scholars to get the best benefit with it being after school? And so how did it begin? I just told you all that, and why chess. And then now I'm going to pivot into the club versus the team. We had a large group, which we call the club, Bates Academy Chess Club. And then from there, we had the track where students competed. And so this is around 2008, 9, something like that, because I had just had my youngest son, Jonathan, so I couldn't do as much as I would like, but my oldest son was playing and he went on to high school, but I was supporting the chess team. And so we had the club, and then we had the team, and then we were, doing the different things, practicing after school 2 to 3 times a week. And then we started competing. And so as you can see there's just one photo. I think that was about 3 years in after we had got our niche. I think we were in either Atlanta or I think that was Atlanta, because I see Josiah over there in the corner, and he and my daughter, she's dead smack in the middle. They were 2nd grade. And I think, and that was his first tournament. It wasn't her first one, but that was his first one. And so, and Mr. Hayes is over there on the other side. So that was like, the early beginnings for us, even though I started in 2008, I was mostly supporting, but I got more into the coaching role as time went on, started learning about the memberships and all those things that we needed. And at that time, we were fundraising like crazy to get to these tournaments. And then there's just some more pictures of the different teams along our way, different groups of the sections of the kids. Like the top picture is of, I think we were at a state tournament, and we earned a prize. I don't know what place that was, and it was a few years back, and that's Coach Lacey. And then down below, that's at our local league a few years later with Coach Chris Sims, and all these people that I'm referencing. They were wonderful coaches. And so I'm just going to go back and leave it on that one for right now for a second, and just tell you a little bit more about how I got my little notes here, my little cheat sheet. When we were doing the club and the team, it was important for us when we were doing this to make sure that we tap into the children's their critical thinking, helped them to develop those. We wanted them to concentrate. We wanted them to use their brain function, metacognition. We just wanted to tap into those things to help them expand their idea and learning for chess. And so as time went on, those things, of course, grew in terms of their skill set, because over the years we garnered many awards and things like that. And so, which leads me now to getting to the end of the year. After all those things, we celebrate the players, right? And how do we do that? We do that by recognizing them. We've done it on the local level in our school. And when I started out, we used to be with the Bates Academy Athletic banquet. And so they invited chess to be a part of that. And I was like, oh, so we're lettering? They said, yeah, you're lettering. I guess that's okay, cool. So the picture over there to the left is just an example of 2 scholars receiving their recognition for being a part of the chess team for Bates Academy. And it was held at a banquet hall facility. It was really nice. So we fundraised, so our children would not have to pay 1 red cent for that. So we did that. And those 2 children happened to be my scholars, my eldest Jeremiah, and then my youngest Janice. So she was like, I think 1st grade or something like that. He may have been 8th grade at the time. And then next to that, you see just you know, us recognizing the chess kings and queens. And that other picture to the right of that is where the city, on a level of recognition, Detroit City Chess Club in particular, celebrates all the players, all city, just like the sports do a sports, you know, all city team. Detroit City Chess Club has done that for now 8 years. And so there are some of my scholars there with Coach Tim Spate, and we were just posing. We were at the Detroit Institute of Arts. They find a historic building, some very nice, posh, swanky place to celebrate the children and give them their awards. It's a first team and a second team from primary, elementary, middle, high school, and then there's a dream team. And so some scholars make dream and some make, you know, the other perspectives, and they're nominated by their coaches. And as I was saying back before, when I said club versus team, you know, this is just a setting of us practicing, having a good time. That's a few years back. Mostly we were in a classroom after school. It's always extracurricular, so the kids can come, you know, and then they sign up and they sign a permission slip to be able to stay after school. These are just some examples of awards that Detroit City Chess Club has presented, which is a nonprofit. And Detroit City Chess Club is one of the largest African-American chess clubs in the nation. It is the largest in the nation. And so what they do is students from public, private, and charter participate in what they do is they earn awards based on the nominations of their coaches from the various schools. And so these are just some examples of some of the awards that they receive. And then here is some of our players, local tournament, and then the tournament, the trophies on the other side is one of our classroom settings. Prior to the pandemic, when the district took over the athletics, they took that part out of their hands. So we weren't doing the banquets anymore. So we just said, we'll do an in-house award celebration to celebrate our own players. And that is just an example of a setup we had, maybe 2017. And these are some of the players, the kids, they were excited and eager. And so we combined club and team, and we had our celebration right there in the classroom. And that's just a picture of myself and one of my students, Jason. He was in middle school at that time, and he's now a senior in high school. So he may be in some of the other pictures that'll come up. But he was at that time, he was 8th grade. So yeah, he's a senior. So that's 4 years ago, right? And then here's another little student, Priest. I have had him since kindergarten. Now, I don't take all kindergartners, but you know, the ones that kind of got, you know, a little more, they're learning and they can sit and, you know, be involved. We pull some in. So that Priest, he's now in the 4th grade and he's playing with the team as well. And then we also celebrate the players by giving them outings. There is a group there right there. You see, we took them skating, and this was last year. I want to say January 2022, no cost to them. Coach Robert and I at that time, we just fundraised and we just wanted to do something with them because we weren't together, because everything was virtual. And so we raised money, we just took care of it, and they had a nice skating party. And there's some examples of, you know, some of the students on wheels. I'm over there, you know, and a couple of the kids. So, you know, we had a good time with that. So, and then when the pandemic was happening, we still wanted to celebrate the players. So for 2 years, we celebrate them, 2020, 2021. So this is 2022. We still were being cautious. We were outside. That's myself and my son. We were at a nice residence. And so we had the trophies set up in the back, and we gave out the trophies. And some of the examples of trophies that we would give kids over the years, committed player, rookie of the year, Lady Queen, Jaguar Queen, Coach Award, Team Captain, Leadership, Most Improved, highest rated player, Sportsmanship, Leadership, most garnered points in a year, how you can gain points with U.S. Chess Federation over the year. And then here we go, some successes. This particular group last year was able to get to nationals. We were at Texas? Yeah, we were in Texas there for the nationals. And so they were excited about playing very well, doing good in blitz and doing good in their category. But it's important that we celebrate players in their endeavors. And we do that, like I said, through the award ceremonies at the end. We feed them a lot, but we always just give them nice little trinkets. We've also had like a chess ladder, where they get incentives along the way when they are in school. So it's just been my pleasure being a coach there. And the esteemed coaches that we've had over the years, like I said, was Selman Hayes, Anthony Lacey, Demetria Wilson, Timothy Spate, Robert Ellis currently, and then who has joined us this year, the illustrious Nicole Key. And so while I'm advising and just supporting, I support chess, not just for our school, but Detroit Public Schools, period. We have 45 clubs, teams in our district. 10 of them are high school, and the other 35 or so are K-8 programs. It's been my pleasure sharing with you a little bit. This is just a snippet, tip of the iceberg of what I could share in this short amount of time, but it was my pleasure giving it to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and Abel will be able to funnel those for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ursula, for that presentation. And it was nice just seeing all the pictures from all the different events and just seeing how everything developed over the years.
Thank you.
Really fun to see. And next we will have Christina Mullinax from Lenoir in Tennessee.
Thanks, Abel. Everyone should be able to see my screen now, correct? Okay, so I am from Lenoir City High School here in a little bit south of Knoxville, Tennessee, if you're at all familiar with Tennessee. And I obviously coach the chess team. I teach Algebra 2, AP Calculus, and AP Computer Science. And to start us off, a little bit about why I got involved in chess. And my story's a little bit different. I was actually bullied into my high school chess team by a world history teacher who plucked me right out of his sophomore class and told me I was joining. And I didn't know that I was joining at the time, but he decided I was. And my junior year, I caved and I did join. And I really fell in love with it. It was a place that I really found that I could be competitive, and it was definitely a boys' club, but I bullied my way in. So what you see at the top is my high school team. We were the Georgia State champions for 2004. I ended up marrying Senator Top. That's my husband. He's still with me and putting up with it. At the bottom, you see me. That was just this year after our team tournament and showing what we did there. So it's been a long time that I've been involved in this. And I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of things that makes Lenoir City and our team work. I am the person who runs our team. I have an elementary and a middle school person who are at those schools, and they do run some after schools, but when it comes to most of the overarching plans and everything, that stops here. And the first and biggest thing that I want to focus on is our community. I really strive to bring the kids in, and there's a lot of joking. Like I said, my chess coach bullied me in, and I would be the last to say that I have not plucked kids out of my own classes and told them that they were joining chess, even if they didn't know it. But I also make sure that they feel welcome, make sure that they know that this is a place where they can belong, and that they know that this is somewhere that they want to be. I encourage them to recognize their teamwork, and I encourage them to recognize each other's achievements. You know, when we come back from a tournament, I take at least a couple of minutes and I go, everybody whose ratings went up. I point out anyone who had big days, big upsets, big winning records. All of that is really important, and that just makes sure they know that they are a team at the end of the day. Chess can be very individual, but I think there's something really important about when you go to a tournament and you see 20 kids all sitting together, they know each other, and they are friends with each other. The next big thing are resources that we use. I primarily am at the high school level, and sometimes a lot of chess resources are geared towards a much younger kid. Most of my students are starting their tournament career as freshmen. I'm working on getting younger kids starting earlier, but most of my kids come in the door. They know how to move pieces. They may have played a little bit of online chess, but I'm starting from pretty much high school is where they're learning to play competitive tournament chess. One of the big things I use with my kids is Puzzle Rush on chess.com. That's effectively our warm up every club meeting, they come in, they do their 5-minute puzzle rush, we record that score. And that just gives them a very tangible way to see improvement. You know, when they first start, they may not have even really known what made in one meant. And they may get like a 3 or 4 on puzzle rush. If they're lucky, within a couple of weeks, they're getting 10, 12. Within a year, they're hitting 17, 18, 19. Maybe we jump over the 20 mark. And when someone has a big day, you know, they make a big announcement, like we all like, woo, good job. The other big thing we use is LeeChess.net studies. I have records back of kids playing in tournaments since like 2017 when I started doing this. As soon as a kid plays a game, I open up a study for the tournament. And a lot of times, even as the kids are at the tournament, but sometimes it's the next week, I have them go in and add all their tournament games. It's a good way to at least get some kind of analysis of their previous games, but it also gives me records. If we're prepping for a tournament, we know someone's going to be there. I've got years of their games in reserve where we can go back and see what openings they're playing. It's kind of like reviewing the tapes for us. And then last but not least, chess steps. The kids sometimes have mixed feelings on it. It's kind of like the multiplications of chess, but it does do some good work, and it gets them talking about puzzles and that kind of stuff. A little bit more about how I run recruitment. One of the big things that I think is really important is mentorship. I do at the high school level, I have a captain and a co-captain. That's my senior and my junior. And my junior is my co-captain who will become my captain. And then we pick another co-captain for them. So we kind of get a little bit of seniority going on there. And they're just kind of who I rely on and provide mentorship for the rest of the team. And then I use my high school students to provide mentorship for my elementary and my middle school students. They give us that gives them an opportunity for volunteer hours. It also lets some of my younger students see that, oh, I can continue this on for the higher levels. My students know to bring me students. Like they'll come and they'll say like, hey, I found somebody who's playing chess. They're going to come next week. That's another big thing. I will be the first to admit, like my entire district, there's only 3 schools, but everyone in my district knows I'm the chess person. So that's, you know, the kids kind of gravitate towards me, but also my teachers help me in that department. Since they all know that chess is really important to me, I can rely on them to help me get new recruits as well. If they see someone playing chess in their classrooms, they will point them in my direction. They've helped me get just kids. And that's just really important. Recruitment's a really big thing. Chess does have some connotations about just nerds. And I will be the first to admit, I have a lot of those nerds. I've taught kids to play D&D from my chess club, but you know, also letting them know that there are other types of kids who play it, and not necessarily the strongest academics kids are my strongest chess players, but sometimes the strongest academic kids do become strong chess players. Another big thing that's been really big to us this year is the US Chess Affiliate. They have done a Title I grant, which allows for schools to get membership vouchers. We've been in a USCF affiliate since my first year, 9 years ago. That was primarily so that we could run rated tournaments. But this year with the Title I grant, it's been a real game changer in just giving me the ability to get my kids rated a lot quicker and a lot more effectively. That has, since all my kids are rated now, we do weekly rated tournaments. And that's just a way, a lot of times when you've got 20 kids who play each other all the time, and we have a very insulated group. We are the biggest group. We are, you know, most of the tournaments we go to, we make up more than half of the high school section, if not 3/4 of the high school section. Giving them a chance to even play rated games against themselves just makes it more serious for them. And then removing the cost of having a rating from the kids lets me be a lot quicker in making that decision of you're going to get rated. I'm not trying to convince parents that they can make this investment in their kid. I'm making the choice of, hey, I think you're ready. This is something we can do. And it's just one less barrier that I have to deal with in getting my kids to that point where they're comfortable getting rated and they're ready to become more competitive. And the next big thing is drive. And I have never been able to do anything halfway. I think a lot of people are shocked at how competitive I take chess in this area. You know, we're in the deep South. If it's not football, nobody cares. And I am a super competitive person when it comes to stuff. I strike a balance, and I'm not going to say I make every kid come to every tournament. But I do remind the kids that we are competitive and that if this is their thing, and if you're not in it, if you're just going to be here and be a distraction, like, I don't care if you come some days, but you're not going to come to practice every day and get us off task and get us off to things we don't need to be doing. So tournament attendance is a big part of that, because if they're going to tournaments regularly, they tend to have a lot more direction, and they want to improve. They want to get better. You see here, one of the new additions we got this year is the traveling whiteboard. We take it to every tournament, and it lets us track. It was primarily for me at the beginning because I realized I was struggling to keep track of kids. Once we got over 20 at a tournament, I was unsure, what round are we on? Who's won? What's going on? And this just gave me a really big thing of like, oh, I can keep track of everything now. But it's actually turned really important to the kids, because it becomes a way. First off, they can see how everyone's doing. And if someone's having a good day, they can be like, hey, we see you're really doing great. If someone's having a rough day, we know that they might need a little bit more support. It gives us a way, if someone's coming back from a game and we don't want to ask, they have a very easy way to either walk away and let us know without any kind of communication, whether or not they may want to talk about that last game. It's been a really big thing. And it's been a really big change this year that I've implemented, that I've really enjoyed. And last but not least is the big emphasis on growth. And this comes from my background, obviously, as a math teacher. Growth mindset is really important, especially in chess. A lot of the kids come to me and say, I'm not good. Well, you're not supposed to be good right now. If you walked into my room and were a grandmaster, then I've been living my life wrong, because I've been hunting the wrong kids. You're not supposed to be good when you come to me. You're supposed to be willing to learn and to get better. And I try to remind the kids, like, you can improve. It's just the choice you're going to have to make. It's going to have to be something you decide you want. And at the moment you decide that, I have full faith in your capability. And kids do get frustrated that they're not improving fast enough. They're not improving quick enough. And it does take time. It's not something that's going to be instantaneously. You just wake up one morning and you understand everything. But I think it's one of the big things you can see as a kid realize they have improved. And as big as just like a chess rating or that puzzle rush number is, it is a tangible thing that I can show to a kid and say, no, seriously, you were not this good, and look how you've improved. And I've got numbers and data to prove that. And the amount of confidence and self-worth, for better or for worse, self-worth that kids can get from that, I think is one of the most important reasons that I promote chess to kids, because I think that can be really valuable to them. And that's pretty much all I have to say right now about Lenoir City Chess Team. I think we are turning it over to Q&A now.
Thank you, Christina, for that presentation and kind of just sharing all the strategies you use with your kids and the school. And one of the questions that recently came up in the chat, and we're certainly going to go over a few of the other ones that were asked earlier, was how do I, as a new coach, I want to start, starting a club and kind of develop. And it's webinar series like these where, people from different backgrounds and provide different strategies and their experience in what we do to try to make things successful. So I thank you both for sharing your experiences with your different school clubs, and we will start with the Q&A. The first question that came up was, how do we get the attention of school districts in terms of organizing, I think, leagues or matches, competitions between schools? My sense is the idea of how some schools will do soccer, basketball matches between schools. Do any of you have any background in doing that? I know for myself, it was just us contacting another school locally directly and just organizing it that way. So it's sort of, we organize matches sort of outside of the auspices of the school district and just get it started that way. But do any of you have any experience of inter-school competitions, and how did you get that started?
Yes. So, well, in our district, in Detroit Public Schools, we, when I came in, they were having a city league tournament, which was started via a teacher within the district. So they started it from there. It's called the Detroit Metro Scholastic Chess League, and so the schools, they sign up and then they, compete that way. But if there is an issue of just getting it started, like April said, we did also some of that, swapping out and just meeting, calling up a coach, hey, do you have a team? And you just would arrange some type of outside of school time. But with us, we do have that component in place, the league, where teams or groups or clubs can sign up and play and compete in the local level. And then I know I don't know if you were going to talk about that, Christina, did you talk about the JT, the other one where you can just, have the players? I'm not very familiar with that one because we already had, the league in place, but that's what we have done. And if you can't, if you don't have that, I would just say, start speaking to the principal, first of all, in that building to see how you could, start that process, maybe with the parent, the PTA, Parent Teacher Organization, or LSCO, to get something like that off the ground rolling, because it just takes a little bit of organization, a little bit of planning, not much, but I understand, transportation and things like that could be a cost. But if you start small, start in your school, like Christina does that, not that small, she does it, where you can run those tournaments directly, and then, expand from there. So that's my bit. Add to that, Christina.
So I'll say so I actually am on the Tennessee Chess Association as well. I will say in our area, most scholastic events are ran as either outside organizers, or in our area, honestly, they're run by me and my husband. And they are intra-school in that they are scholastic. When I was in high school, our teacher was able to do more. I think what you're talking about, we called them little chess scrimmages, where our school would just load up a bus or a van with some kids and go over to another school and just do 1v1 matches down as many kids as we brought. And quote unquote, whoever won the most patches, just like a little mini team tournament. I have offered that to several schools around me and told them I will bring the bus if they want to man up and accept the challenge. And no one has been able to take me on. Unfortunately, Knoxville is not the largest chess community, and especially after COVID, it has taken some major hits. And I don't have the means to just dash myself over to Nashville with a 2.5 hour drive after school. But no, if I had a larger area, that would be what I would do, is just reach out to schools. As much as like superintendent or principal involvement needs to be there, for me, it's just more filling out the bus request.
And no, thank you for that answer. And next question, I could probably get to two questions, both asked by Joshua. They're with regards to tournaments. Is how do you start a tournament, and what are team tournaments? And I think Christina mentioned already, and Ursula as well, that the team tournaments are sort of like a really fun way to really get kids involved. So like, for example, if you have like 8 kids as part of your chess club, you contact another school or, another group of students and just do an 8 versus 8. And it's basically whoever's got the most points wins. So one student from your team plays one student from the other team. You try to do it in terms of skill levels so that the skill levels matched appropriately. But that's a great way to get students, just feeling that sport aspect to it and that competition. And it makes it really fun for the kids. Now, if you've never run a tournament before, I believe there's some resources, and you could reach out to us directly so we could send that to you directly on just how to become a tournament director. But even if you don't even want to do that yet, just knowing what the rules are for how chess tournaments are run and what the etiquette and protocols are, and we can get you that information. It's not too difficult once you sort of jump into the waters of it. Which is a really great thing in terms of, especially the scholastic tournaments. Cynthia had a question about.
Can I jump in there real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
a couple of things about running. I know they asked about running your first tournament. It is a little bit of a process. So the first thing you'll need to do is become a USCF affiliate or be with someone who is a USCF affiliate. And that's to run a rated tournament. If you want to run just a normal scholastic tournament, you can get the tournament software for roughly $100. I would strongly recommend getting that. You can manually pair kids, but that's going to be a nightmare after about round one. And while the tournament software is not the most friendly thing, it is manageable. And if you can find someone in your local area who has any kind of experience, they can pretty quickly show you how to run just a basic 4-section tournament without any issue. Team tournaments, and most states, I think, most states do have a scholastic team format championship. It either is 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. Georgia's 5-on-5. Tennessee's 4-on-4. I will say that one thing me and my husband have started doing is run what we call the practice team tournament, which has been a huge success. The kids really like it. And I do not let my top team play in the practice team tournament. I do what I call as a draft style. I count up how many kids I'm going to have, usually around 20. We're going to do 4-on-4. So I take my top 5 students and I pull them off to the side of the room, and they are allowed to draft their dream team. And that is how we pick our teams for that practice team tournament, so that all the kids get a chance to play at a board that is appropriate to their skill level, because I don't want to have my weakest team just sitting out there getting their rear ends kicked every day. And I also don't want just an overpowered team that gets a little full of themselves before the actual team championship. But yeah, the team tournaments but there is now, if you go to a normal scholastic tournament, kind of like at the national events, team tournaments are run a little bit differently. So at those kind of tournaments, it's not a true 4v4 format. You will have all of your students registered under your team name. And at that point, they will pick the 4 highest records of your team to quote unquote get a team record. So it's a little bit different format. And sometimes people can get confused about a true team tournament versus an individual tournament with a team component added in.
And I'll just add one little thing about the tournament software. It is a little bit of an investment, but the kids really love just sort of seeing their name in that official format where, you know, white, black, board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, see the standings. And so it is worth it long run, even if you're not doing rated events. It is fun to do that. I know when I run the summer program that we have in our school, we don't do rated events, but we do like, because I'll have classes from 1st through 7th grade in those, and we run events, and they love seeing the standings and whatnot. So that is a fun thing to add if you can do it.
Abel, can I mention a little bit about the guide?
If you can do so quickly, please. Yes.
I know we have a short amount of time. Within the U.S. Chess database, you will find something called A Guide to Scholastic Chess. I created it in 1986. It's been revised and edited. Tim Just is the current publisher, or not publisher, but the editor. And this takes you virtually from the very, very beginning of I'm a teacher. I do not know what I can do, but I want to be involved in chess. And when I created this publication is available. And if you go to the following, when you go to US Chess, click on About, then click on Frequently FAQ, and click on Scholastic, and you will find a copy of the guide there. The purpose of this, back at that time and even today, is to give everybody a chance to work through at their level. I created what I called a club tournament. That was not connected with anything other than the kids who showed up in my room, because they were all basic beginners in September. And if I had a few from leftover of the previous year, that's fine. But I wanted any teacher to be able to take this guide and work with it. I created a non-USCF tournament style was very simple, and everybody had a chance to play each other. They would gain rating points, and within that, we would eventually move forward and play in rated tournaments. An additional final note, and that is, please consult with your state scholastic coordinator. I created that position because I wanted somebody who could help people connect with other schools and other organizations. And that state scholastic coordinator can be a wonderful source for giving you that larger view of a school district that's nearby, and you didn't realize that 2 of the 18 schools already had a chess program. So that's very helpful, I think, and use that person to assist you in building scholastic chess. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne, for that resource. And we did put the, someone put the guide, the link to the guide in the chat. So please feel free to click on that. And Dwayne Barber's a legend of scholastic chess. So his contributions to this extremely valuable. Cynthia had a question, I guess, for Ursula and Christina. How often do your teams meet for instruction and practice every week? And then we could talk about what you do to track players and kind of evaluate their progress.
So we have the team at Bates specifically, they meet officially twice a week after school for 2 hours each session with the teaching coaches or coach. And then there's a bonus. They meet on Fridays for open play at the DIA, Detroit Institute of Arts. And then coach, if we were getting ready or, for states or nationals or regionals, which we have done in the past, there will be extra practices that have been scheduled in addition to the 2 official. And then I currently do a chess enrichment for children that are just, I want to learn a little bit about the game, just see what it's about. That's on Mondays, 1 day a week. So while I'm not coaching officially directly, I still am bringing scholars to the team. And many of the other schools do that as well within our district.
We do 3 days a week, 3:30 to 4:45, 5 o'clock, sometimes later if the kids get me distracted enough and I'm not paying attention to the clock. That's for our high school. Tuesday and Wednesday are practice days, and then Thursday is our tournament day. Thursdays are middle, and sometimes other people show up to play in the rated tournaments. I have a couple of adults who I have allowed to come in, and they'll play in those days as well. So Thursday's a little bit more, both more formal and less formal with the finishing time, as if you get done with your game, then you can leave. Or if your game runs late, I guess you're staying later. And then our middle school meets twice a week, split up by age group. There's the 6-8 group and the 4-5 group. And then our elementary school meets once a week.
There was a question in the chat, and I'll be sharing a link to some of the resources we have on the Chess and Education page, of which there are many resources for people to look at. And if you haven't gone there, you should do that. But specifically, one of the questions was, there's awareness of that there's programs where people can get sets and boards to their school. But the question that was in the chat was about accessing donated memberships. Is there a process of which someone can apply for memberships that are donated or ask for a donation of memberships?
Yeah, I can take that one. So US Chess has a couple of different programs. So I think our most popular program, which Christina's school benefited from, is the program where we provide memberships, free memberships and equipment to Title I schools across the country. Then we also have something called the Junior Tournament Program, which allows schools to actually run their own tournaments in-house and sign their students up for a member ID without it being like a full-fledged membership, but it allows them to get started and to begin their rating history. That is the lowest barrier to entry. It costs nothing, but somebody at the Local level would have to be an affiliate or partnering with an affiliate, which is our word for a institutional membership as opposed to an individual membership. It's $40 a year, and somebody within that entity would have to become a club tournament director. And the barrier to that is also very low, basically reading the rule book and signing a piece of paper. So, we try to make it easy for people to get onboarded. And we have folks on staff, and there's folks on the committee who could share their experience with working with either one of those programs. And those resources are on the website in the resources section that we maintain in the education pages.
And another question that sort of came up in the discussions, and by the way, I added a couple of links in the chat. So if you haven't taken a look at those pages and resources, please do so, is the topic of fundraising. Can both of you share sort of like how you get your community involved or your school involved in terms of fundraising to provide the opportunities for kids to compete on a level they may not otherwise be able to?
I will be the first to admit that fundraising is definitely a weakness of mine. I have tried various different things. The main thing we have done to fundraise in the past is actually running scholastic events through the school, and then all proceeds of said event goes to the school. This is actually something I've done more for other clubs recently than my own club, which I'm not exactly sure how that worked out, but it is what it is at that point. Then we have done just student run fundraisers where just like any other sport or team, they fundraise and we try to gather some money. We have gotten some donations from Kiwanis clubs and some other places. And that's something that I really need to focus on in the future, as I do want to get our kids to higher level events. And while my administration and district is supportive, they are not exactly financially supportive. So it is going to have to come from the community. And that goes back to Deep South and chess not always being on the forefront of everyone's mind down here.
So in Detroit, we fundraise, as Christina has said, prior to Nikolai Vitti becoming our superintendent for the last 5-6 years. Our schools would fundraise separately. There would be some money through the athletics department, but now we have an Office of STEM education in Detroit Public Schools. And so what they do is they provide USCF memberships, vouchers for those, for us to get those for the scholars, provided they're competing in a rated tournament. And then also Michigan Chess Association, for our state tournaments, they also pay that membership fee per player for each year. If there's a student that is signing up. Now, like I said, prior to that at Bates, we just fundraised, and our parents, they would, pay. We had parent support. And then we also looked for sponsors, local sponsors. We did that, I guess, on the in the urban setting. You can find different people that come back and give back to the chess community and other communities that are within other areas, activities that students like within the district. So we, some of our former players, they're doing well. What they do, they come and they give back and they support, and they give in kind. They donate uniforms. And like I said, we do fundraise. I fundraise like crazy because we want children to look the part. We want them to go. Presentation and all that is important in addition to being at these tournaments and being able to provide the food and the other things for them. So fundraising is very important. Sponsorship, and our superintendent, when he came on, there was a story done on Bates Academy, and we have a soundbite of him saying, yes, chess is important. I was like, yay. I didn't have time to show it tonight. I found the clip, but you can just Google it, Detroit Public Schools, Bates Academy chess, and our superintendent is right in there. We got you. He's on there supporting our after school extracurricular, and it's in the budget. There are dollars there for that. They do tighten up, but we try to make sure that we're able to be sustained based on our record, our legacy, and garnering other sponsors. So that's my little bit on that part. But yeah, I agree with everything Christina said as well.
And I appreciate a lot of the comments in the chat, sort of kind of giving experiences they've had. Someone mentioned in the chat about getting support from local businesses and whatnot. So thank you to those watching and in the chat for kind of sharing the ideas. One of the questions in the chat had to do with how do you keep the motivation of players that might be like very new learners, so they experience competitions, but have a lot of adversity at first while they're developing. I'll just quickly share like my experience. You sort of at the very beginning build the expectation that it's going to be tough. You're learning a new thing. But trying your best is always number one, and you just celebrate the small improvements. So it's not really about celebrating, your first first place trophy win, but celebrating like the incremental gains, right? Would you guys agree with that as a strategy that works?
Absolutely. I mean, in pedagogy, like she said, growth mindset versus just staying where you are. You can use the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy as an educator. You use those areas in the data that support that demonstrative approach. That's an old one. That's basically the data-driven thing. You just give them milestones to reach. And like you said, set the expectations. But we give them milestones and incentives. Now with us coming out of this pandemic, social and emotional learning, all of that kind of just goes into play. You have to make sure that you see every child in that picture. They're all in that photograph. Wherever you see them, every child matters, and you have to show them that they matter. And when you build that self-esteem with them, that helps them to move to that next level. You pair them with scholars. You use different teaching strategies to help. That's, I think, what helped me be successful in the chess team. Because I'm an educator, we have to learn those pedagogies and platforms and ideologies in, say, a chess coach that does not have that background. We just kind of infuse it with them to help them know that they can go further in their level of learning chess and enjoy it at the same time.
And this goes along with what a lot of what Christina mentioned also in terms of just having recognitions, right, of different things. I mean, you could have someone that's like a really new learner and might be struggling to make those gains, but when they make those gains, that's like improvement of the year or improvement of the week, right? And you recognize that. Would you agree, Christina? Like with your chart that I saw, you have a lot of different ways to kind of celebrate players, and you might be muted.
I do track a lot of data on my students. But like I said, the first thing, and I think someone in the chat just asked, is Puzzle Rush. That's a chess.com feature where you get a certain time frame that you can do it unlimited as well. You get 5 minutes to solve as many puzzles as you can in a progressively difficult setting. So like the first puzzle may be really easy and then it gets harder and harder and harder. I track that daily with every practice. The kids come in, they report their score, and that just gives me a very quick, tangible way to see improvement. And even if they're struggling in tournaments, that's something I can focus on of, hey, look how much better you're getting with this. We're already seeing that kind of improvement. I also track their ratings, and doing the weekly tournaments gives me a way to like track that kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, since we are playing ourselves most of the time, someone goes up, someone did go down in order for the other person to go up. But, if someone has an upset, if one of my newer players beats one of my stronger upperclassmen, my upperclassmen know, hey, that's the break sometimes. The kids have got to get better at some point, and we can really celebrate, hey, you beat somebody that a couple of months ago you would have never thought you could have beaten. And just having those constant opportunities for kids to do something, have that success. I think that's what's really important. And it's just the small recognitions of saying, hey, I saw that and you did get better and you have improved.
And similarly on chesskid.com, because I'm in the elementary setting. And so, you can look and see what they're doing. So they enjoy that. They get their little badges and their little prizes, as they go along. And you say, oh, let's see who's gonna, and we check every, I can look. And they say, oh my gosh, you can look. So they get on there, and they see. So it's just, so that's beautiful.
And they give stickers now. I did 20 puzzles. Or I did.
They start out.
And I'm learning the thing they love to do is put those stickers on their water bottles. That's like a thing I've been finding out. So yeah, that's another way to kind of like keep everyone engaged and keep all of that going. All right. So and just lastly, with this, we mentioned Chess Kid, Lead Chess. A lot of the platforms have different things that a coach or a teacher or or a parent can use to sort of like monitor the progress of your kids. So I don't have as much expertise like on Lead Chess, for example, as I do with Chess Kid, because I use Chess Kid like with all my kids. But I can say that with Chess Kid, it's like phenomenal because, I have like, over 100 kids that, I'm monitoring how often they play, how many puzzles they do, what they do, what they miss. And it's great for me to see like who's engaged, or I'll even notice if someone is the engagement is sort of like waning, and then I'll try to like figure out why. Is it something at home, or they're just not liking it as much and things like that. And I can also see like who's like doing they're playing like 20 games a day and doing a bunch of puzzles, and then I can identify, which is especially helpful for me is when I have a new player like a second grader and they're on Chess Kid all the time. I know this is someone that like really loves it. So like, this is someone I really, want to keep my eye on, and maybe, invite them to the after school where it's like competitive and things like that. So Chess Kid's really good for a coach, but like the other platforms may have their own things that really work as well. And I'm noticing in the chat, some people are sharing that also. So Ursula and Christina, any final thoughts before we wrap up the show here? There may not be. I was just asking.
Go ahead, Ursula.
No, you go ahead. I had go ahead.
Not really. Like I said, I think it can be really valuable. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. I've done a lot with my local area, but always willing to talk to someone about chess. And if you have any questions, yeah.
And I concur with Christina. I'll support anyone in chess. I know how to get started. I know we have the guide, which is great. That resource there. But just talking to somebody on the phone, or just filtering through. Skip over that part, go to that part. This is what you need to do, kid, right now. Get it in the kids' hands. I'm very good with that kind of stuff. You all in here probably can play rings around me with the chess game, but I know how to organize it and keep them going and know where everybody's going. So I'm very good at that, and I can help anyone at any time, any state. Just give me a call. I'll drop my contact information in the chat.
And I just want to let everyone know that's in the meeting that pretty much everyone on the Chess and Education Committee is more than happy to help and answer any questions and whatnot. If you just reach out to us and contact us. Because there's a lot of questions that it'd probably take a little bit more time and one-on-one conversation to address, but we're more than happy to do that. And like I said, the Guide to Scholastic Chess is a fantastic resource. And there's a lot of grant opportunities to obtain resources for your school. And I dropped the link in the chat, but if you go to the US Chess page, there's an education button on the homepage, and you can look up all of those resources right there. Thank you, Ursula and Christina, for outstanding presentation and sharing the insights. And I want to thank everyone that joined for kind of adding value with your comments and resources. We covered a lot of questions. There may have been some that we didn't get to, but like I said, just feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help in any way we can. And if we don't know the answer, we'll certainly direct you to someone that does. So I want to thank you two for the presentation, and co-chairs of the Chess and Education Committee, Renee Bartlett and John Galvin, and Executive Director Carol Meyer, who's always on these webinars and presentations. Thanks for being a part of it. And actually, thank you for helping moderate the chat. There's a lot going on, and it helps having you there with us. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And next month, we have a very special webinar coming up. It's Brooklyn Castle. I believe it's 10 years anniversary, and John Galvin will be there. And I think we're gonna have some of the players that participated way back then, where they are now, and what's happened since then. I believe the date is May 21st, if I'm correct. So definitely check that out. All the upcoming events are on the Chess and Education page, so definitely cannot miss that one. So sign up for it so that you can get the link and join us for a celebration of the IS 318 program in Brooklyn Castle. And we look forward to seeing you all then. So have a good evening, everyone, and hit us up if you have any questions. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.